What's going on, guys? My name is Jaime Behar, and if you don't know me, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm on the quest to hit $1 million a month. So I've been an entrepreneur for 8+ years now, and I have never hit $1 million a month. I've made millions of dollars over the last several years, but my number one goal has been to hit $1 million a month. And I've learned so much of what to do and what not to do over the last few years. And so I've decided this year to drop a YouTube video every single day this entire year. And really what I want to share with you guys is honestly everything that I've ever learned, everything that I've gone through, all the healing that I've done, all the modalities that I've worked with, not just in business, but from a spiritual sense, from a psychological sense, from everything that you can possibly think of. You know, I'm on a quest right now where I'm trying to figure out, like, I've spent easily over $100,000 in self-development. The number one question that I've asked myself over the last several years is, how in the world can everybody get access to all the information that I've learned, right? So there's a lot of things that we can learn out there for free, right? Through YouTube, through books, through mentors, things like that. But there is a lot more information that if you don't even know that exists, like, how would you even know to look into it, right? So it can take a very long time to get to that point, and I still don't know everything. There's a lot that I don't know. I just keep thinking, like, how can I get all this information out to everybody? So I'm on a quest, give everybody access to everything, right? Everything that is out there that can help you transform your life. And that's really why I'm creating these YouTube videos. And you know, one of the things that I want to talk about today, or the main thing that I want to talk about today, is really comfort, and you know, what actually gets us and stops us from accomplishing our goals. Believe it or not, like, even when you start making money, like, there's a level of comfort that we all hit. And so, for example, you know, the first time I made $100,000 in a month. Like, you get to a point where, like, once you're cash flowing, like net $100,000 a month, an extra 50K is not really gonna make a difference. Could you possibly buy a better car? Could you possibly buy a better house? Could you possibly buy your kids or your loved ones something more that you wouldn't be able to before? It's never really a strong enough motivation to actually get to that point, right? So you have to really find something that will push you to that next level. Really what it comes down to is the way our brain is wired. And so once we start hitting that comfort zone, we start slowing down, right? We start slowing down the things that we do and how we do it, and our discipline, the communication, and even pushing the boundaries within our employees, within ourselves, of like what is actually possible. And the reason why that ends up happening is because we go to our old habits, right? Those old habits that are there never go away. I was talking to somebody a couple of days ago about this trauma that I had, and I was like, you know what, it's been 30 years since this happened to me, and I'm barely just getting to the bottom of it, like literally just getting to the bottom of it. And so I've never really shared this in person, but like, for example, I got sexually molested when I was 5 years old. I've done so much work that I thought I was over it. I thought I had healed from it. I thought it wasn't stopping me at all in accomplishing my goals. I thought it wasn't accomplishing me in the relationships that I had with people, with my kids, with my loved ones, with my friends, with coworkers. And I've come to realize these last couple of days that it's still there, right? And all these different things that have stopped us or created who we've become today, that wiring from little kids, from our early adulthood, are always going to be there. And there's always a deeper layer. And so that's why doing the work from a psychological standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, like, you have to continue doing it, because you're always going to unlock a deeper layer. And I think that's where the comfort comes from. When you start hitting a new goal in your life, right? You start getting in massive shape, or you start hitting certain numbers in your business, or you finally get married, or you finally have kids. That thing that stalled you before hitting that goal will happen again, right? But it will happen in a way that you can't even see it. If you're not aware enough of it and like really trying to see like what the big picture is, like, you're gonna get stuck. And that's why I believe like those goals and that want to continuously keep getting better has to be there. It's not that, you know, comfort is laziness. It's really a survival mechanism, and that survival mechanism is just really just protecting us from not getting hurt. So usually that's why if your goals aren't big enough and you're not doing the work, we get stuck. And so you have to be able to find a way to not only have a massive goal, right, to help people, or to get super rich, or to really just give your loved ones everything they've ever wanted, or to heal the world, or to, you know, make a change in the world that nobody's been able to accomplish just yet. Like, you have to continue being aware of like where that comfort is killing the upside, if that makes sense, right? And so when you become aware of all those things that are stopping you, they constantly keep coming up, and with that awareness, and if as long as you continue doing the work, you're able to keep elevating. And so that's probably one of the number one things that I would say we get to look at is, it doesn't matter how far we've come. It doesn't matter how much we've accomplished, like we're gonna stall again, right? But the key here is like, how quickly can you get over that stallness, right? It could take some of us sometimes 6 months, a year, till we realize like, damn, I've been stuck for a year. I haven't been able to hit another, I hit the ceiling. Eventually, what I've learned is that I when I hit those walls, I catch them quicker, right? I go deeper into them quicker. And when I start catching them, I'm able to then shift where I'm headed to be able to actually make it to the next goal. So really those goals, like it's yes, it's motivation, but like where's the motivation coming from? And usually what stalls that motivation is fear. The fear usually comes again from that trauma. That fear, it's the same trauma that keeps stalling you from all these different things. So like, for example, when you're first trying to make money, I would say most people's goal is probably usually to make 10K a month. It's usually a starting point. Nowadays, it's probably maybe like 20K a month, but that's usually coming from fear-based, right? It's like, oh my God, I gotta get out of this because like I can't live my life. I can't buy myself anything. I feel stuck. I can't provide for anybody. So you do everything in your power to make it happen, but once you hit it, again, it came from fear. So you're going to stall again, and to actually be able to hit the 100K a month, rarely does it actually happen, right? Because most people never did the actual work. And even the ones that did slightly of it, once they hit that ceiling again, they're not willing to go deeper. If you become aware of like what that fear is, and you're able to find the deeper desire as to like why you want to accomplish something, it gives you the permission and it gives you the ability to actually hit those 100K months, right? Those 50K months. It's just like, for example, somebody grows up saying like, hey, I want to be a doctor because I want to, help everybody. And they go to school, they get straight A's, and eventually they come to realize like once they pass college and they get their doctor's degree and then they do all that it was actually coming from a place of protecting themselves, where like they felt like maybe they were never protected and they feel like they have to help people because if they don't, then, who else is going to protect them, right? And so like if you're not aware of like, and that's just an example, right? It's different for everybody. If you're not able to catch that of what's stopping you, then you're never gonna actually be able to go to the next level. So you have to know where the fear is coming from, and you have to be able to build a motivation factor that's way bigger than you. Like it has to be bigger than you, because when you make it about yourself, like that's where we get stuck. Like it's funny because people talk all the time, will say like, hey, you get to be selfish for your goals. And yeah, to a certain degree you do get to be selfish, because that's what initially gets you motivated. That's what initially gets you going. That's never enough, right? It's never enough to actually be able to accomplish that ultimate goal of just doing things for yourself. Like it has to be for something external. It has to be for a bigger purpose. And if that purpose is not big enough, you're going to continue stalling. And so for example, like even for myself, the goal was always like, hey, I want to be a millionaire. I want to make 100K a month. Hey, I want to hit $500,000 a month. Hey, I want to hit $500,000 a month. I want to hit $1 million a month, which is my goal right now. And so yes, that might be the goal, but that's not the big goal, right? That's the next goal. That's the next micro goal to actually hit, get to the life of my dreams. And again, for me, the life of my dreams is like help everybody in the world, build the life of their dreams. And maybe some people are there already, right? Maybe some people don't need it. And that's great. But I believe that there's a lot of people out there who are seeking, who are wanting, because I was one of those people. And so if I can remind myself every single day that the ultimate goal is to show people that they can fly, right? And when I say fly, I mean like there is nothing out there that can stop you from accomplishing that. And I've had people tell me, even in the comments, people will say this sometimes, but I've had people in person tell me too, like, hey, Jaime, not everything is easy. Some people are in situations where like there's just nothing that they can do. And this might sound fucked up, and this might not sound, you might think it's not true or real, but like I generally believe that there is nothing out there that can stop you from accomplishing that goal. I believe that there is nothing out there that can get you to evolve and become the person that you always believed you can dream of becoming. And so I've had somewhat of a hard life. I wouldn't say, I was homeless, I didn't have anything. Like I would say it was somewhat of okay life, right? I've had some trauma, I've gone through some things, I've got bullied. And I also understand that there's people out there who've had it way worse than me. Way worse than me, way harder than me. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna just sit back and think like, hey, this is what my life is and I can't do anything about it and I'm just gonna get stuck here forever? Or what if you just believe, right? And that's really my message, is like, what if you just believed that it was possible? What if you just believed that you could change something? And our subconscious and our brains will find ways to prove us that we are right. It would also show us to prove, It'll show us to prove that we are right. When you give it enough context and you are committed to a specific goal, we're blinded. Like, we are actually blinded. And one of my friends once told me, what if the belief system that you have is actually not true, right? We believe something is true. We believe it's real because we've experienced it and we're going through it. But what if it's not, right? So if we have this perception, right, it's kind of like a horse. A horse has these blinders, right? When they're racing, it's like only focus on this. And so these blinders are there that we create, and we believe this is the only route. But what if we took off those blinders and realized that there was 1,000 different routes that we can take, a thousand different ways that we can think and see that would then create other options. Look, I understand that there's people out there who are going through very, very difficult things, especially now today in this world where, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff happening, right? Even including here in the US, in other countries, and it sucks. It definitely sucks, but what if there was a way? Like, what if there was a way, right? What if there was a way? What if all of us believe that there was a way, right? What if all of us believe that there was a different way to do things? Then maybe we could actually make a change. Maybe the people who are in certain situations might not be able to make that specific change, but if all the other external ones believe that there was, we can all come together as a group and create a different outcome for those people who are stuck, create a different outcome for those people who maybe can't do much, right? So that's really what I'm inviting you guys into, is that you get to really look at that and really believe that there has to be a different way. And that's really the message that I'm trying to instill in you guys right here. If you don't see things differently, if you don't choose to believe that things can be different, then the only way you're ever going to see them is the way you perceive them. And I'll say this, like, a selfish mind believes it's right. If we truly believe we are right, if we truly believe that what we are thinking is accurate and there is no other option, then you're going to be absolutely right? I believe I'm absolutely right about this. So if I choose to believe that I am right about what is possible with this, then that must mean that there has to be hope for people, right? Just at the same way for the people who don't believe it. If you choose to keep believing that that's not real, then it's never going to be real. And you're going to be stuck in that position and that perception of what things are, when what if they could be different? So this is why it's important to have your vision to be huge. Like, it has to be huge, right? I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like Elon Musk. I personally like Elon Musk not because he's a billionaire or trillionaire, whatever he is. Like, I love Elon Musk because his vision is huge. Like, it's massively big. And so whether he is right or whether he is wrong about what he's trying to create with electrical cars, going to Mars, landing on the moon, all these rockets, Starlink, all these different things, there's a purpose and a vision that he has. Like, he sees something grandiose. He sees something so much bigger than himself that's what keeps him going, because he believes it's going to change the world. He believes that it's going to better the world. Judging Elon Musk or not for whatever he's doing, however he's doing it, like, it's not really going to affect us, right? We can criticize him all we want. We can criticize all these billionaires, but it's not going to change anything, right? So what would happen if our vision was just as big as all these other billionaires, right? What if our vision was as big as some of the biggest artists in the world? Like, let's say Taylor Swift, right? Clearly she has a vision for something. There's something that's driving her towards that direction. Like, I'm not really a Taylor Swift fan, but like, there's something that's driving her towards that grandiose vision. I really believe that's your why, right? And that why that we all have is like, if we all had a why as to why we do things, where we're headed, versus just criticizing and, you know, talking smack about people, like, it would make a completely different shift, right? So that why is really the purpose. That purpose is really the believing that you can create something, believing that you can make a change. And I genuinely believe that each and every single one of you guys watching this and everybody in this world can fly. Honestly, like, when I say fly, I mean, like, you can literally accomplish everything and anything that you want, right? So what would happen and what would change within our own personal lives, within our family, within the world, if we all saw and perceived things from a place of like, everything and anything is possible? Like, what if it was, right? And so I know some people might think like, hey, this is hard for other people, man. It might be easier for you, but it's not for others. But okay. But what if it was though? What if it was? And that's really the main message here, is that what if it was? For me, where I've got into is like, okay, well, what if it is possible that everybody can create the life of their dream, right? What can I do to help others? Because by me helping others will also help me in return, right? And if we all operated from that place, helping other people, and we all are helping each other, this world will be completely different, right? All the stuff that's happening out there in the world, whether it's ICE in the United States, whether it's racism, whether it's gay people, whether it's Israel, whether it's China, whether it's Russia, there's like hundreds of things happening out there. But it's because we're all just so caught up in like criticizing that we're not willing to make a change, right? We can all choose to be a victim to it, right? Us sitting here on the sidelines, or the people who are experiencing these things. Like, I would say, luckily for me, I don't think I'm experiencing much of that. Like, I'm happen to be in a place in my life where You know, I've made a lot of money. I live pretty comfortably. I've never really faced racism. I've been bullied before, right? I could have been like, I wish you guys knew me when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was one of the shyest kids you will ever meet. I was shy. I was overweight. I felt like I was a nerd. I was heavy critical of myself. I got bullied again. Honestly, I hated my life. I was not living into what I wanted to live, the way I wanted it to live. And so if I would have chosen to get stuck there, if I would have chosen to just been like, hey, I'm fat, I'm overweight, I am shy, I don't know how to talk to people, I don't know how to communicate with women, I'll never have a girlfriend or a wife that I truly love because I just don't know how to do it. I could have lived my entire life living that way. I could have lived my entire life living a subpar life, right? Maybe making minimum wage, or maybe making just 100K a year because I became a victim to my circumstances, right? And look, again, I'll say that that might not be as worse as other people have it. I could have chosen that path, right? We have thousands of paths that we could have taken. I could have chosen that path and I chose not to, simply because I believe that there was a way, simply because I believe that there has to be another option. And that's really what I'm trying to get you guys at, is that there's always more options. There's always more options to creating what we want to create. And so that's the challenge, right? The challenge is to go through the pain. Go through the pain and be willing to look at things differently. Go through the pain and be willing to change and heal whatever is there, because what if that's the way to actually create the life of our dreams? What if that's the way where we get to show the world it's possible? That's really the biggest message that I have for you guys is, what if we can create this life of our dreams that's so grandiose? Like, just think about that vision. Like, if you can really just sit back and think about that grandiose vision of like just massive, like each and every single one of you guys has had a vision or has an idea of like what is visually possible in this world, right? Imagine if we all just went all in on that, right? Imagine if we just believed that it was actually possible, and then we can make that reality come true, right? And what if we do have that vision and nothing is really shifting? Well, maybe it's because we're not doing enough to actually make a change in it, right? Maybe there's still that fear that's stopping us from doing differently to actually accomplish that vision. You know, I'm promising you guys here right now that I will dedicate the rest of my life to show the world that everything and anything that they want is 100% possible. That everything and anything they want, they can accomplish and do, and that we can all fly. We can all live in unison. We can all have the life of our dreams. We can all have everything and anything. With that thought process, with that commitment, this world can change. We can live in unity. We can live with love and happiness and joy. I'm not gonna stop till that happens. And so I think throughout this process, like, yeah, I mean, part of my vision is to make a lot of money, right? Because making a lot of money is makes the world go round, as much as we don't want to hear this. But money also changes and affects the world. And so I initially want to make a lot of money selfishly just because I wanted to be rich. And I've gotten to the point now where, like, you know, the money's not for me. I've realized that like this money that I'm here destined to create, that I believe that I'm destined to do, is not for myself. It's for a bigger purpose. What that bigger purpose is really that. What I've been talking about is like showing the world what's possible. And if we can all play from that same frequency, if we can all elevate that frequency, we'll live amazing lives. And so that's all I got for you guys today. I will catch you on the next video. Peace.